The tight end landscape is very strange right now. We have a couple of incredibly exciting names right at the top of the list in Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, with George Kittle kind of floating around underneath, and then a big old gap until we get some other tight ends that we feel vaguely confident in. So if you are drafting right now, be that on Underdog, in Dynasty Leagues, or in your home leagues, and you want to wait on tight end, or you miss out, you're sniped on Brock Bowers, just miss him, and you decide, screw it, I'm going to wait all the way down the board, I have 4 tight ends for you that you can get later on. The highest value tight end that I have is currently on Underdog, the tight end 19. If you like content like this, please consider liking and subscribing. But let's get into my first name, who I think is going to absolutely smash this season. Pat Freiermuth finished as the tight end 9 just last season, and with a career high in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. It was the second year in his 4-year career that he's finished with 7 touchdowns, a number which is going to vastly improve going into next season, given the upgrade at the quarterback position and the fact that there has been a downgrade at wide receiver. Well, downgrade is probably a slightly bad way to put it, but they lost George Pickens and they now go into the season with only DK Metcalf as an established weapon. Aaron Rodgers, as the new quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is someone that we know absolutely loves hyper targeting 1 or 2 guys. DK Metcalf is an interesting fit for him. Maybe if this had been 5-10 years ago, I'd have been really into DK Metcalf with Aaron Rodgers, but currently I don't like the fit because Aaron Rodgers' arm is starting to wane. A tight end like Pat Freiermuth, who can win consistently over the middle of the field, is going to be perfect for Aaron Rodgers' skill set, and Aaron Rodgers has already been hyping up Pat Freiermuth with his appearance on the Pat McAfee show, so we know that he is very aware of him. I think Pat Freiermuth is going to have a huge amount of upside in the red zone, but also just as a volume-based tight end. Outside of the top options, I wouldn't be surprised if Pat Freiermuth is someone who can see over 80 targets, and that at the tight end position is incredibly rare. But coming off of a season where he's had his highest target total of his career, and that was in a season with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Now we're going into Aaron Rodgers, who is on the decline, but is a better quarterback at this point in his career. Freiermuth being available as the tight end 19 feels genuinely insane when you look at some of the tight ends going above him. And yeah, he might not have the highest weekly ceiling, but he has an incredibly high weekly floor, which is something that I think is going to make him fantastic for fantasy this next season, even if it doesn't feel like the sexiest name when you make the pick. Chig Okonkwo is going as the tight end 27 on Underdog right now. And look, I understand the reasons why. He has always been seen as an athletic project and someone that we are waiting to break out. But I do believe that this could be the year that that happens. First of all, you have to look at the offense as a whole. They've made improvements to the offensive line, and the most important thing is Cam Ward stepping in at quarterback. The offense should generally take a step forward, which gives more chance for him to be able to score touchdowns and for him to be able to get more yards. But also, if you have a look at the way he performed at the end of last season, he really broke out. 3 finishes inside the top 20 tight ends, with 2 as a top 7 tight end. Chig Okonkwo was a league winner down the stretch, and no one is talking about it at all. There is such a huge competition for targets on the Tennessee Titans right now. Calvin Ridley is going to be the number 1 target, but after that, it's really a question. Is it going to be one of the rookies in Chimere DK, Elic Ayomanor, or Xavier Restrepo? Is it going to be Tyler Lockett or Van Jefferson? None of those names are particularly enticing, and I don't think there's a reason why it can't be Okonkwo. He is incredibly similar to Elijah Arroyo, who was Cam Ward's tight end in college, in terms of being a big play threat down the seam. In fact, he was the comparison that I made when I did my profile video on Arroyo. Chig is going so late down the board, and I think he's going to have huge spike weeks in this offense. Juwan Johnson is currently going as the tight end 29, and I can see the reasons why. He did have a disappointing end to last season where he was predominantly injured, but he has just been re-signed to a 3-year, $30 million deal. This also coincides with Taysom Hill going into the season with an injury, putting him right at the top of a depth chart that is really needy for pass catchers. Tyler Shugg is an up and down rookie quarterback, but he is someone that I think will pair well with Juwan Johnson, especially given that they actually played together at Oregon 6 years ago. Tyler Shugg is incredibly old. That's not the point of this video. The Saints receiving core is really lacking in size, which is something that Juwan Johnson can bring as someone that predominantly can play out of the slot and function as a red zone weapon. Given that he's going all the way down the board, he can be someone that can bring weekly touchdown upside. And if the offense can take a step forward with Shugg in charge and with Kellen Moore as the new play caller, a play caller that we all like for his time in Philly, Dallas, and the LA Chargers as well, if it can take a step forwards, the touchdown equity is really going to be there. And considering that the other targets on the depth chart are Chris Olave, Brandon Cooks, and Rashid Shaheed, there is definite need for a red zone threat, especially given that Alvin Kamara has never been the best red zone back. Juwan Johnson could easily find a path to finishing with 10 or more touchdowns if this offense can take a step forward, and he is not being priced like that at all. If you're enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I really appreciate the support, and we have a fantastic series just started called Off the Wire, where I take a dynasty startup team from nothing, take all of my players off the waiver wire, and try and rebuild it. So go and check that out. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscribe. But let's take a look at the next target, and it's a tight end that I genuinely can't stop drafting. Theo Johnson is currently going as the tight end 31 on Underdog. And even though I can understand the reasons why, to me, this is a huge value opportunity to get one of my favorite tight ends way cheaper than I think he'll be in about 3 months' time. Theo Johnson is an absolute athletic freak. Just take a look at some of his numbers from the combine last season, and you'll see why I continue to bet on the Penn State tight end. He had a lackluster rookie season where he ultimately ended up getting injured, but he did have multiple games with 5 or more targets and 50 or more yards. The main thing which is exciting to me is, first of all, I think he's a really nice skill set matchup for Russell Wilson, in someone that can work deep down the field, but also big enough to make grabs over the middle of the field, which is where Russell Wilson isn't hugely comfortable throwing. The other thing is that there is such a gap for targets on this team. We don't know who the wide receiver 2 is going to be, but beyond Malik Neighbors, it's Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, and then Theo Johnson. If he can take a step up and show that incredible athleticism, he will be able to become the second target on this team. And this is such an easy backdoor stack that you can do really late on down the board. Grab Russell Wilson. If you want, you can grab Jackson Dart as well, but I think it's going to be Russ for the majority of the season. And Theo Johnson is available so late that you can grab him as your tight end 2 without even having to think about it. If he can translate that athleticism to the NFL, this could be an absolute superstar. Then talking about one athletic freak to someone who is very much the other way. Tyler Higbee is currently being drafted incredibly late down the board, basically a free pick and going after second round rookie Terrence Ferguson. Now, the interesting thing for me is that Tyler Higbee, I think, is going to start as the tight end 1 on this team. Sean McVay has always loved featuring his tight ends, and I actually think that he might go back to more 12 personnel going into next season, giving Terrence Ferguson and Tyler Higbee the chance to compete for snaps, but also be on the field at the same time. With Tyler Higbee, it may be a case of early season relevance while Terrence Ferguson takes some time to grow into the offense. But the Rams have never been a team that have rushed rookies into roles unless they have been forced to by injury crises, like we saw with Puka Nacua a couple of years ago. I think Tyler Higbee is going to show some value. Sean McVay loves featuring a tight end, and if you look at the statistics from the playoffs last year, particularly that Philadelphia Eagles game, Tyler Higbee was hyper targeted. It may be that he only helps your team for 6 months, but if you're going to draft him along with one of the exciting rookies who may take a little bit longer to develop, Tyler Higbee is such a safe pick and is basically available for free.